And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Welcome to the Politics, Prepping, and Paranormal Podcast.
Flippity-jibbity nonsense.
I thought it was terrific.
Not just big, it's yeah!
Let's go!
Welcome and thanks for watching and listening to the Politics, Prepping, and Paranormal Podcast. My name is Jeff Morey and I am your host. This week I'm excited to talk about a subject that has long fascinated me, but apart from conspiracy theory TV shows or shows that strictly do deep dives into subject matter of the paranormal, for some reason is rarely discussed or brought up. That being remote viewing. Many of you may have never even heard of it, much less know what it is or anything about it. I could sit here and talk to you for hours about what I know or what I've read, seen, and heard about it, but apart from my personal research, there really isn't much I can tell you about it first person. So I do what I always do in these situations. I bring in an expert. So this week, I'm excited to welcome Madel Niff to the show. Madel is not only a remote viewer, she is also the founder and CEO of her company, Atten Wonder, which is on the cutting edge and the new frontier of UFO and interdimensional exploration. Madel is a fascinating person, and I can't wait to learn more about remote viewing and her work and background. So at this time, I want to welcome my guest, Madel Niff. Welcome, Madel, and thank you for joining me.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So before I ask you all about remote viewing, could you tell us a little about your background?
My background is quite diverse. I have a background in music, martial arts, psychology, and ufology, and a lot of curiosity. The reason why I'm here today. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
So ufology background. I kind of know what that is a little bit, but for anybody that would know what having a background in ufology means, could you explain that a little bit more?
All right. My education in ufology it's been officially it's quite academically, it's not that it didn't come
Old
as
school.
the other ones. It's quite new because of my found interest on taking that professionally. So I like to inform myself on the subjects I'm curious about. So ufology came in a way that I can understand better the process of investigations, the process of what it's actually, and give me a better ground and background to the field of studies that I'm in at the moment.
So what first got you into UFO and interdimensional, I guess you could say, research? First got you interested in this?
I will say that is out of need because it has become something so constant and present on my life for so many years that I just decided to take that serious for the lack of information that we have currently. And for the fact that my experiences are quite unique to the point that I can't find people to relate. So I took on me to study and understand what is going on, pretty much.
Okay. I've been wanting to talk to somebody about this for a long time. I've seen TV shows, I've heard about it, I've read about it, remote viewing. It's always fascinated me. I've been wanting to talk to an expert in this field for a long time. Could you first explain exactly what remote viewing is for anybody that's never heard of it or doesn't know anything about it?
Remote viewing is pretty much ESP, extrasensorial perception. So in my case, I came to know that I was doing the so-called remote viewing after I was doing it because I came across the term. So I was like, oh, so it's that what I'm doing. But for me, I would take as far as the concept of the beginning concept of connection. As far as for personal experience, I take for myself, I use the concept and the methodology of integration. So instead of considering myself apart from the system and from cities and countries, I understand that everything that I have, that I perceive I have also shares common characteristics and genetic characteristics with the other things as well. So when you come across that quote, everything is mine, it is what it is. As far as you believe and you know that you connect and you do the mechanisms, it's all about connection. That's the reason why the remote viewer can see or perceive, smell, feel things that are not even relatively close to where they are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess people that do remote viewing, such as yourself, I guess you have to be born with some kind of psychic traits or extrasensory perception. Is that something that you have to be born with? This isn't something that just anybody can just show up and do, I'm assuming, correct?
I've heard from many professionals that's something that you learn, that's something that you can develop. I do not have experience myself with that because the concept of remote viewing came to me as natural, as something that I was doing something similar, and that branches a little bit with the branches of what means remote viewing. It's pretty much what the name of that military gave to psychic gifts or
They called it psychotronics, I believe was the term that they labeled it back in the day. I think people that are familiar with it, I think everybody's heard of Project Stargate. I don't know if you know anything about that. That was the U.S. military CIA operation that they had that started in the 1970s, and I think it ended in 1995. And
I
that
don't think
was,
it ended.
I've heard a lot of people say that. So supposedly the official story is that it ended in 1995. Yeah, I kind of figured there was a lot going on. I know the Russians were deep into this; they were doing a lot with it, and this was Cold War era stuff. That was the space race. It was just among so many of the other things. So yeah, I'm with you. I think the U.S. government is still probably very actively involved in it. I know they were trying to basically see like enemy weapon capabilities, find spies, find prisoners of war. What other applications, as someone who knows what is possible in the realm of possibility with this, what can you do with remote viewing? What are the I mean, I'm dying to know what's the limits here. What can you see? What can you do?
You can make money. One of the things, but
Well, hey,
not
I need to become a remote viewer.
specifically. One of the things. Throughout the years and the path that I've been walking through, things are a little bit unconventional. So the core base, the idea of remote view gives you, again, the connection, the ability you have to know how to connect the data. You see, we have this idea of separation, whereas there's nothing of separation. It's just an idea that you program to believe, right? Because that puts you in a mental cage and it is what it is. So the techniques, the core technique of remote viewing, if you're curious enough, will give you foundation to more exploration. And that's my case. So with the connection, you're connected to things. So the way that happens to me, I have an energy, I'll call an energy. I'm not gonna call somebody that comes and tells me all the tea of the gossips. But gave me this ability. So with crypto even, it made me a few $1,000s already. So it's something that you have to trust your gut. So things like that.
So what I'm hearing is the next time that the Mega Millions jackpot hits 900 million, I need to give you a call. Is that what I'm hearing from this, or?
No, really. I'm actually, I don't know. I don't know. Because the thing is, it depends where your awareness focus, because it's impossible for you to be here and be connected and aware of everything that is going on around the world. So you need to put yourself on a position of what is that you're focusing on, and then you kind of like turn on station, and that's that station that you're gonna be susceptible to receive information.
So I guess it's kind of just training your mind, more or less.
Pretty much so.
This would be hard. It's hard for anybody that's never done this, to have that kind of perception to understand. So can you break down what a normal day is like? Do you do remote viewing every day, or even the days that you do it? What is a normal day like? Where do you go? What do you do? Because you see the documentaries and the stuff from the military, Project Stargate, and you just imagine people going into a room and just getting all these gizmos hooked up to them, to their head, having all these wires coming out. And from the movie X-Men, like Professor Xavier going into, I can't remember what they called it, but that room that enhanced its abilities.
The brain? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's for the people, those of us that don't know anything about it. That's how kind of we perceive as someone doing this. So could you kind of explain what goes into it, and how do you go about doing this?
Well, the act of the remote viewing for me is more practice than doing, because my practice also bridges the concept of remote viewing, but I'm into the integration aspect. So I'm actually writing a book about it too, because you're not the only one. I've encountered and I received messages and emails from people asking, how do you do that? And everyone's got their own way to connect. My way is through the concept and perception of integration. So a normal day for me is, of course, I have kids, a house, work and company and everything going on. So I prioritize at least one session, one time a day that I can sit down and disconnect to connect. So it's a practice of pretty much you're training your muscles of how you teach your body how to feel, because the feeling is a tool to connection. That's how your body interprets energy through feelings. So if you know how to acknowledge, recognize, and direct, it's the 3 pillars that I'm approaching on my book on how you can find yourself to connect. If you understand those, if you have a strong base on those, you're able to find your connection and develop your own techniques and discover great things.
Well, that leads to my next question. What have you seen? I would love to know what you've seen, what you've experienced doing remote viewing. I've seen some of your posts. So I'm just curious to hear some stories about some of the things you've seen and experienced.
Well, many. I have one in DC, and in Washington, DC, and I have one here in Utah. The one here in Utah is quite interesting because I'm not gonna mention names or get into
Yeah,
much
absolutely.
details just to preserve the
Yeah, no.
safety of everything. But it's solid to say that there is such things as underground bases even under neighborhoods, and there's
Really?
access to those inside those neighborhoods, because I came across a situation that I even asked my husband, hey, what is that place about? And he told me, oh no, that's a very ordinary something that you just have, like, okay, cool. But that was in my mind, because the thing is, when you apply the concept of integration, you know it's always energy. For example, if you, let's use the neighborhood example, you know that a neighborhood is supposed to have people and their pets and normal stuff.
Right.
But when the energy doesn't match to what you see, you feel it. At first, you might not put the finger where, but that, anyways, so that situation was, hitting the back of my head like for a while. And I was so, I usually don't go snooping around places, because there is something that I learned. I can talk about that later. But and then I just kind of got tired, and I kind of like went to outside place here in my backyard, where I was usually frequently meditating, because that is important to keep that in mind. I'll go back to that. And think about like not even 3 minutes, because if you constant train and put yourself to train how you feel the energy, how you feel when you connect, you can just induce those feelings and connection just like that, right? So I did the thing. I went. I haven't gone actually even around the how do you call, the surroundings, to know even what was the entrance. I just saw the place, but I didn't know how to. I made my way to there, and what I found was the shell of what it looked like an ordinary place on a neighborhood, but it wasn't. It had a connection to the left, that led to something else, and everything is pretty much, I can tell you, inside of these tunnels, and especially what I could say military. It's all the color. It's all concrete. Everything's very much concrete. And when I was about to get into the second, I'd say, room inside of that, when I got to the corner to I found something that wasn't human. And the way that I do the remote viewing, there is many types of remote viewing. There's the control remote viewing, that is what the military developed. There's the natural, there is a few other ones. Anyways, so the way that sometimes I get to do things is kind of like I have a VR goggle. Because there's types that you just see the place, there's the type that you can interact, there's the type that there's another types, levels, apparently. That's how they, apparently that's up to 6 levels, if I'm not wrong. It's like a while I've read. Anyways, and I have this control, and I kind of like interact a little bit, and I was so tired and frustrated with some things that I sent my coordinates, my location, and it came next day to visit during one of my sessions of, and I wasn't even going back there, because I made the drawing of how it looked like, dated everything very quick, because I didn't think anything of it. But then the next day, when I was during my meditation session practice, I thought about it, and inside of this technique that I also developed, there's a mechanism that you can use to signal or allow things. And that's when I saw that it came back to observe.
And when you say it, we're talking about an
NHI.
extraterrestrial biological
Yeah.
entity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I have the image because part of this technique that I developed is one of the posts. If you want, I can send that to you.
Sure.
You can show. It shows literally the figure of what we would see on the internet of a reptilian Draco. You can see even the lines, like how you see a I don't know, alligator belly that has
Right.
this, like, you can see. And not only after I did this snooping around this military facility, apparently, I also got other people coming to check on
You're getting
me.
visits.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I don't like to go places, because there is kind of like a hygiene about energy and how you do things, because the same way I was aware that they were here. Do you understand? There are people and things that their whole job is just to detect actions like that.
I figured is from what I've heard and as much as I've researched about remote viewing, I think you nailed it. I think the military's still been doing this for a while, and I'm sure they have a team of people that monitor people like you that don't work for the military to make sure that they don't go snooping around and revealing things that aren't supposed to be known to the public. So that none of this surprises me. You're just confirming what I've pretty much suspected for a long time. So apart from this X facility you're talking about, have you seen anything outside of our planet, other dimensions, other realms? How far have you been able to go with this?
I haven't tried remote viewing out, because I don't know, I'm not that curious to, because there's a lot of, I don't like to go places I can't have a confirmation bias of what it is, because there is a silver lining between the impressions you get and what your imagination can create because of your ego. And it's a thin line on that. At least I'm myself a little particular with some aspects of, oh, where are you going? Where do you go? But I can tell you that I've seen airspace, and there's a lot of things in the airspace, our airspace, we cannot see. That's definitely for sure. Just like an experience I had in Washington, D.C. one time, proved that things sometimes are that you reach something would be like Black Hawks. It's common occurrence, especially when you have extended time connection of, I don't know, UFO sightseeing or literal connection. Sometimes they do come down and things like that. So when it takes a little while, there's Black Hawks that come around. But the episode in the sea, like, again, I train. So I can be, I don't know, in the middle of those monuments and just do a quick check. And I tried doing that once, and a Black Hawk came not even 3 minutes later, after I've seen two TR3s close to the Washington Memorial. One was there, just there. And as soon as I got the warning not to approach, I don't know why this warning came, I saw another one coming from the Washington Memorial. Was in one of the Second World War monument, I don't know. And it came just like Star Wars, zoom, and it stopped. Just like Star Wars. And then I was going inside to see, okay, who are you, right? And I was caught by a giant that took my vision eye. It took my vision, just a giant eye, and a yellow eye that had a slit on the middle. And after that, I just kind of got startled and get out of here. Yeah, it's like, it's enough for me. And wasn't only that. Within 3 hours of that happening, as I was in another state, I had my mother watching my kids, and not even like within 3 hours, we had a police office knocking on our door to check about a previous person that had lived here at the time 2 years ago. 2 years,
No coincidence there at all, right?
it's just like, okay,
They're just giving you a little friendly tap. Hey, we know what you're doing. We're gonna keep an eye on you.
or I don't know if they want to know if I was here, or so
Right. So you're physically in Washington, D.C. at the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that would cause issues just to go. So it's like, okay, not doing that. But it's pretty real. Like, our airspace is pretty full of activity,
I can
I'd
imagine.
say.
So I'm guessing from what you're telling me, you choose to stay away from this for the most part now.
Yeah, because it takes my time, my energy to things that I'm not actually using. It's not benefit to me. Because if you want to know things with this base practice, you can just know. So, I guess it's just getting yourself to harm, I guess, sometimes, because sometimes you don't know where you're going and what you're doing. And it's better just to leave things that are not to you quiet.
Fair enough. It's a good thing I don't have your abilities, because I have too inquisitive and curious of a mind to be able to stay away from some of this. I know some U.S. congressmen and some people that would love to sit and talk with you and find out some things. I'm sure do you monitor the news? Have you been keeping up with the congressional hearings and everything going on? I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. A lot of powerful people seem to be wanting to get out the truth. I don't know if we're inching closer to disclosure, or if it's, fifth generation warfare, if they're trying to distract us from something. I don't know. That's why, inquisitive minds want to know. This is the kind of thing that fascinates me. And I don't know. You have more willpower than me. I don't know if I could stay away from wanting to know some of these things, because, this is fascinating stuff to me. So I respect your resolve to stay away from it. So I guess you just use it for your benefit and for the benefit of others. What do you use remote viewing for nowadays in your daily life, other than to make money?
I did quite. So I wouldn't say remote viewing, but the core practice of it, the core technique of it, it's very useful. It's very useful. I'd say that people would benefit a lot from trying to learn. Because the thing is, going back to that question, I do believe that you can learn.
That was my next question, is what we can kind of segue into that. What we as a human race can learn from it, what we can take from it, how we can better ourselves, how we can improve.
Yeah, I do believe you can learn anything that if you have the ability and intent to learn, you will learn. It's neuroplasticity. You just need to know that you can do it, even though you're not, but you have to have the intent, because it's the will. It's kind of like it ties with the again, the concept of the feeling that it can derive and project anything you want. Remote viewing has helped me in a sense of decision making, has helped me to foresee some things and like stay away, or foresee some things and go for it. But I feel that, like, just like the CIA papers on remote viewing, they put in a way that was for human enhancement. That's how they put. So I do believe that breaking away the notion of separation and understanding that you are a being so powerful that just by willpower you can know, connect, and be into places and even interact with other intelligences just by learning this concept and ability, if that makes sense. So many other things, like I know that the police, I don't know, government uses, they might say they don't, but many cases there was remote viewers that used their abilities to help to find people, to solve some stuff, and I feel that is a powerful, and I do believe that the not only US government, but other governments are aware of it and are using, for what I have snooped around.
100%. You just confirmed pretty much everything that I've suspected all along. So, I know you're big into UFO research too. You like to spend a lot of time doing UFO research? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, my UFO research blends with my ESP-based practice, which in conjunct with collaboration with colleagues such as Stephen from Hidden World. He works with imagery. So one of the great things I found about my research is that there is indeed some signals that are sent from the craft to the case, the person, the contactee. So that's one of the things that we are finding out, because we found image with the called segment registry in the moment of contact. So the curiosity about studying UFOs was to understand what is the actual connection between them and the so-perceived spiritual experiences, which it's been like a ruling question my whole life. So I've noticed that every once in a while, because I always love to wander and stargaze and watch the sky, and every once in a while I would see those little bright stars moving weirdly and sometimes stopping, and that never, it's like, like, what is that? And then, like, it was something so foreign to me that could be what it is, because I don't think that, I think that the majority of the people just like me has been brought up on and raised on a Christian background. So we know that, spiritual, angels, demons, and if it's good, it has to look that way and feel that way. If it's not, it has to look that way and feel that way, which it's not the case, because that's not my experience. So the curiosity about actually getting to the point of the UFO sightings and connections and abductions to the so-called spiritual experiences, they are related, to the point that I consider them like the spiritual side of things, like we call interdimensional. It's not a spiritual. The spirituality that we call is just like a dimensional reality that we haven't yet 100% explained through science and physics. But it's energy and interacts in different ways, and how to explain that I can see, but you're not. Some people can. Do you understand? So
Yes.
my whole fascination around the concept of ufology, physics, which supports a lot of what I'm developing, and to the point that there's no spirits, it's all physics, it's all interdimensional, and that's pretty much the main point of why.
Yeah, I think we're only starting to scratch the surface. People just think of it as just a black and white. It's a craft with a bunch of little green people inside of it. And I think there's just so much more to it than that people don't get. but I think we're finally starting to scratch the surface about it. I mean, I've talked to some of the most respected UFO researchers in the country and in our world, and they all say it's not, it's so much more to it than that. And they refer to some of these things, I don't know how you want to call them, these entities, as spiritual. I mean, that's how a lot of people have referred to them, as spiritual. They've been very defensive about that too when I've talked to them about it, about, that they were, because I've even made the comment about it, biological or something along those lines, and they were like, no, spiritual. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm a Christian. I have a Christian background. I'm still a Christian. I'll always be a Christian. The Bible doesn't say anything about aliens do or don't exist. I think,
It
I
actually
don't know. I think
says.
there's a lot more to it than what people, believe is there. So I think we're just starting to scratch the surface of that. So, okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your company?
So Aten Wonder. Aten Wonder came again out of need. So Aten Wonder, I was long, I think I'd say 2 years, slowly sharing my 2 cents of the whole thing on social media, and I noticed that everyone that is into the niche of ufology, spirituality, they do have something in common, that is how the social medias treat this subject, and how the algorithm and this whole, and sometimes it's censored. So it's frustrating, and at the same time, so many things happen, and you don't have with who to share, how to understand, because throughout my years of research, I've noticed that they follow a pattern, and it's easy to figure out things and even to learn if you learn how to recognize the pattern. Everything is pattern. So it came to me with me one day meditating and say, like, I was thinking, how can I get more resources of information, even to help myself on my research, and other people to help to understand, because I came to make so many friends throughout these 2 years, even other hybrids like myself, yes, that are having such a hard time, because it's something that we need to share. It's something that we need to come to understand of what it is. So Aten Wonder came as a need of being a social media platform to support that space, to have a safe space that people can share and learn. So we will approach such things as well technology, and what so experiencers, researchers, and actually in a world level, as social media, learn the patterns that consist this phenomena.
Fascinating. So what are you hoping to accomplish with your company now and in the future? And how can people find, contact, and reach out to Aten Wonder?
So Aten Wonder, right now, we have a landing page where you can sign up to receive the notification of the launch, which we are planning for this year still. So you sign up there, atenwonder.com. Yeah, and what we hope to accomplish is a common understanding, and just kick away this taboo of aliens and UFOs, or they are evil or they are not. I don't think that a highly evolved race with such awesome, unimaginable technologies would be willing to let us learn from them until this point without hostility, if wasn't meant to. So one of the things that I hope people can start to understand is the differences in the concept between what is good, what is evil, because And you have to get out of this dual way of thinking. I cannot come with the word right now, and there's such thing as the people need to pay attention and shift towards too is diplomacy. You might not like your uncle or I don't know, family, but don't you keep a diplomacy sometimes?
Not anymore. Not in this country. We don't.
But
Unfortunately. So
but the intent, the
I
intent
agree.
we have
I agree.
is to have such diplomacy. It's no news that there is our government and other governments are working together with NHI, and at this point, people are for disclosure, but still cannot understand the concept of this dual way of thinking. And there is a lot to walk in terms of understanding that. So Aten Wonder, I hope it's a place that people can low-key, put their feet a little bit on water and understand with people that has contact, people that has experience, professionals that have been studying this for years to understand, because fear comes from the lack of understanding, I presume.
So basically to help facilitate disclosure one day and understanding.
And provide tools for people to trace those patterns, which I cannot come to say right now because that would be spoiler. But there will be tools, visual tools for the whole community to trace those patterns.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
I know one other thing I was going to ask you before I let you go, just random question here. I don't know why I just thought of this, but Atlas 31. You having to look into that? I heard all these crazy things about Atlas 31.
I have mixed feelings.
What's your thoughts on Atlas 31? I know we didn't discuss this, but it's just something I thought about
okay.
like last minute. I wanted to ask you about because, man, I'm hearing some crazy stuff and seeing some crazy stuff about Atlas 31. So give me the goods. I want to hear about Atlas 31.
I'll give you, because the thing is, it has to be I have to give you a little bit of background.
Okay.
So do you remember, I think was beginning of last year, that we all saw the thing on the west coast of Africa, size of Texas, causing huge waves underwater and blah, blah, blah. And I personally have experience with underwater facilities. So
Do you?
I do.
That's been a big topic of conversation lately. My very last show, I posted a video about Congressman Tim Burchett and some of the comments he made recently. I don't know if you've seen those videos going around. So
I've been in one that is not military, and can't describe. But anyways, so the background for the 3i Atlas is that when that the beginning of last year that object appeared, I thought myself, and I have connections to that area. So I thought myself, why not try to connect? I never actually tried connecting with something that would cause to respond to me that far, because again, the idea of separation, right? So I used my technique. Let's see if it works, And I used my technique, and I received the feedback that you're supposed to receive when it's working, but I didn't receive a immediate answer. I think that past the moment, I think 3 hours past that moment, when house was quiet, I was in the living room, after cleaning the kitchen and all that fun stuff. And then I sat on the couch and I wasn't even thinking on anything. And out of nothing, I was put on the state of when you get when you're on extrasensorial perception, not voluntarily. So I was put on that state, and right away it was like a radio inside my head, but I could hear with my ears, which was totally different than my previous experiences as far as what I thought was the telepathy or anything like that. So out of nowhere, I was put on that state and I was listening like to this frequency, and that was kind of like, you know, when you're listening to a radio, like that, it's the space, like, you know, weird. And there was female voice that when I noticed, that was the thing is, it was just so surreal anyways. And there was this female voice that right away said, I will try to make how was it, you know, the
Okay.
intonation and everything, it had that an accent and everything. So it was kind of like, what's your name? Like, what's your name? Like, very. And then me being me, I was like, I can't believe it. It's now. I was so much, because it was like I'm talking to you here. It's like, I can't believe it's now. I'm beaming, you know? And then I wasn't. And then I said my name, and then I was kind of, but I never asked nobody's name. But that was the first time that I, you know, and then I said my name. I go by this name. This is my name. What's your name? And then when I asked, what's your name? The feeling of the state went away. It's like that, melting out. I was like, you didn't tell me who you were. But I knew that was because was from that connection. So, long story short, I will try again to connect with the three-eye atlas, but I haven't got any feedback from it. I'm
'Cause
not
it's
gonna.
supposedly behaving very strangely, is the things that I've seen about. You know, you see the theories. It's an alien craft to come invade the world, and it's just a comet. But people are talking about it a lot, especially in the UFO community. And so I was just curious if, you know, so there's something there. Is that what you're telling me?
Look, a couple years ago, I received the mail that we were expecting something, some people. The beginning of this year, I saw that a specific small crew got here.
And let's clarify this for people that don't understand what we're talking about. Crew, you mean crew? When you say crew, you do not mean humans, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I followed you. I just make sure that people that anybody was listening to this or watching this, that they followed as well.
So yeah, for their craft, there's a specific glow and shine. All right. And I went to, you know, this night, when I came to the news, like I received the news that a crew had arrived earlier this year, was small, like wasn't like, oh, mothership or anything. What I saw was their craft coming and landing on the desert somewhere. And for what I know and understand, would be high level command, because they use biological bodyguards.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So the side of the connections I have would be very much draconian reptilian connected with Orion. So they are huge with biological engineering. So when I say that they have biological bodyguards, it's something that will look scary. And on this kind of plane, I'd say on a desert, on Earth, they would need something like that. Like when you live like in a big farm and you have big dogs type thing.
So our government and other world governments have been putting these beings here for a long time.
It's always been here. That's the thing. It's not like humans are the new thing here. It's not them. That makes sense.
It does. Some from here older than us and some from elsewhere, correct?
Yeah. Because I have my connections. I know that I have connections currently in what people call inner Earth. But yeah.
Good stuff. I don't see you want to elaborate too much on it, so I won't press you for it too much. But
no, but the thing is that what people need to know is that don't give the energy of the things you don't know for the things you don't know. Don't give the energy. Just that. Just, if it comes the information, yay, great, nice, I knew. But the issue here is what we are facing is a lot of distraction, and it's on a light way to put it as a play. And it's about it's a play. And what is going on right now is directing people's attentions, emotions, and reactions. So, yeah. And about disclosure, I feel that there's more disclosure that can come from people than from government.
I think some of those people are starting to come forward slowly, so we'll get there eventually. Well, this has been a very enlightening conversation. When you're not changing our perception of the world and doing all these very cool things, what do you like to do for fun in your spare time?
I'm a nerd. I'm always doing research, but I love doing nothing. Doing nothing is my favorite thing to do. Nothing. And when I'm not doing nothing, I'm thinking about the research thing. It's just my life. It's just my life. I don't understand how people can separate you being, because you need to be, to real life. So yeah, I love traveling. I'm always looking for flight tickets. That's what I do. But yeah, enjoying life and seeing the perspectives of different people and places. That helps to understand.
Very good. Madel, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining me, and keep doing the good work. Let's get disclosure and let's help everyone understand what's going on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeff, for today. It was very nice talking to you. And yeah, let's, keep up with your work, bringing up people, to talk about the subject. And it's one of the things that we need a lot, is just have people talking to understand and expose what they know, what the perspective is. But thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll get there one day. Thank you, Madel.
Thank you.
That's my show for this week. I want to thank my guest, Madel Niff, for joining me and helping all of us understand a little bit more about remote viewing and how we see and perceive our world. Be sure to check out and support Atten Wonder on her website, attenwonder.com. And if you haven't already, connect with me as well, Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, all at Politic Prepper. And be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite platform. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Politics, Prepping, and Paranormal podcast. Your source for real news and analysis on politics, prepping, paranormal, conspiracy theories, and the volatile state of the world we live in. Tune in next week and every week for a new episode, and stay safe, stay healthy, and stay vigilant.